Hey, Playmakers. Hey, players.
Hello, players.
Hey, players. Welcome to the Makers Podcast. Together, we make the players. Players make...
Keep going with that.
No.
On to something.
Hey, y'all. Welcome to today's episode on the Playmaker Podcast. Today, I've got two really special guys. I've got Fletcher Lyon and Ross Boggess here with me today. Thanks for being here, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
So, these guys are two of my good friends, and they... this episode idea really came about one night. We were driving around in the car on the narrow country roads in Woodford County trying to, find all the haunted spots. And we were kind of just talking about life and dreaming and, what's our purpose? What are we doing? And these guys are so wise. And I was like, y'all have to, they're laughing at me saying this, but I mean it. I was like, y'all have to share this. This cannot just stay here. So, thanks for being here. Would y'all want to just introduce yourselves a little bit and tell us where you're from, what you do, what you're passionate about?
Favorite Oreo cookie brand?
Favorite
Oreo cookie style?
I was going to say, what do you mean? What kind of brand? Are we talking about Kroger regular
No.
Oreos?
Think about it. You got Halloween birthday cake, double stuffed, inverted.
There's so many options.
Double stuff for me, have to say.
There's double stuff. There's triple stuff. Quadruple stuff.
Triple and quadruple is a little too much for me.
Have you guys seen the YouTube video where they make fun of? I think you showed it to me. The YouTube video where the
Yes.
random guys making fun of how do we keep making all these different Oreos but doing the same thing every time?
There needs to be an alphabetized Oreo set where you eat A and eat B, and then once you get down to Z, you're like, dang, I've had over 20 cookies. You can also spell people's names as long as you don't have double letters or anything.
Share an Oreo with Ross.
Yeah, I think Coca-Cola's already got that.
Yeah. I can buy it.
Yeah.
So who are y'all?
Okay, so I'm Fletcher. I'm from Western Kentucky. I've lived all over Kentucky growing up, which was really cool. I live in Lexington now, and just finished up 7 years at the University of Kentucky. 4 of them in undergrad, 3 of them in law school.
Oh yeah, big dog.
Yeah, and fixing to move to Nashville. So.
Yeah, he's about to run that city.
It's awesome. My name's Ross Boggess. I like the double stuffed Oreos. I sometimes like those mint chocolate covered ones, the thins. But I was born in West Kentucky. I don't get to have much claim there other than Hopkins County on my birth certificate. So moved up here when I was 6 months old. So Lexington has always been home. Every stage I thought I was going to get out of Lexington, ended up staying, and finished 4 years at UK, loved it, got to stay in Lexington, work in commercial real estate development, making places that people want to go live, be social, feel more productive working in, do something that makes places. So, still live in Lexington now and just kind of living it up.
Yeah. So y'all are both really passionate about people. And one of the things that I noticed from talking to y'all was because you're both in very different spheres of influence in what you do and what you're passionate about. But the correlating thing is how well you love people. And I think a lot of that goes back to when I noticed it, how intentional you were with listening to me. And then the questions that you asked regarding what I had said, I could tell how intentional you were with listening to me. So what really kind of stirred up these intentional communication skills that y'all have? Because you both have them and they're very strong.
It's something so Fletcher and I ran for student body vice president and president together. And I got to watch Fletcher meet everybody. And his first question was, what's your name and where are you from? And then once he figured out where you're from, there became another string of questions of, do you know this? Or what do you think about this? Or it's so cool that people love their hometowns, and you're able to tap into that and truly get to know people's hearts, because I think people light up when they talk about their hometown.
Oh, absolutely.
And that was something that after like the second or third time, I was like, man, I've been talking to people wrong. I need to start like finding more about their story by asking where they're from. So
absolutely.
I was late to the game on that.
Yeah, I think if you can tap into what people are most passionate about, they'll do the conversating for you. They'll do the talking, and it's a lot of fun to hear kind of what makes people tick. And I'm also a big believer that iron sharpens iron. People make each other better. So whenever you can kind of tap into somebody and figure out what makes them tick, that's kind of how relationships start to form, and how you start getting into the deeper stuff.
Yeah. And I love that people make each other better. Y'all make me better. Every time I leave a conversation with either one of y'all, I'm so encouraged and so just like, yes, like we've got a mission and we're going. I love it. I love it. So, with dreaming and like communication building in that sense, one of the things that really stood out to me when we were talking that night we were driving around was, I had told y'all that I was going to do the Disney College program, and that was in my near future. And Ross, you said, so what's your goal with that? And I was like, I'm not sure that anyone's asked me that. And I had to dive into that and really, when it came out, I was like, I want this podcast. Like, this is my number one. I want this to go because I want to like reach people. I want to coach people in their health. But I hadn't really talked about it. And Fletcher, will you talk a little bit about that? Like, what happens when we actually open up and share about our dreams and like what we really want to do?
I think that's the only way to get where you want to go is by talking about it. I mean, just like any leader, the job of a leader is to like paint this vision that other people can see and communicate it clearly. And in order to get where you want to go, you have to let people know.
Yeah.
Because you're going to need other people to help you get there. And you got to build a team around you. So it's funny you asked that. I got a fortune cookie a few months ago. I was kind of hesitant to talk about what I wanted to do someday. It's kind of a little bit crazy path, and it sounded crazy to me, so I figured it would sound crazy to other people. But I got a fortune cookie, and in the middle of it, it had a little saying. It was, believe in your dreams and other people will catch the fever. And that kind of hit me like, man, why am I not talking about this thing?
Yeah.
And so I think that's, you gotta tell people what your plan is if you want to see it into fruition.
Yeah, and I think one of the cool people in this world that's always been a cheerleader for like following your ambitions is Bob Goff.
He love him.
He has a dream big framework.
Yeah.
And
have you read that book?
I listened to the podcast. I haven't read it yet.
Oh yeah.
It's totally on it. So after you like and subscribe to here, go follow.
Little plug right there.
Yeah.
Pause. Listen to that. Thank you.
Yeah, he talks about telling every single person you come into contact what your ambition is. And the examples he's using is whether it's the person next to you in the restroom stall, or the mailman, or the person sitting across from you at the dinner table, or just tell everybody what your dream is, what your ambition is. Yeah. And I think you got to proclaim it. Like, you got to, well, first you got to claim it, and then you got to proclaim it. So,
yes.
It's a two-step process.
Yeah. That's good.
But yeah, dude, you got to figure it out first. Because I think our brains naturally work to solve problems. So figure out what the problem is you want to figure out a solution for in this world. Make that your dream to do, and then just figure it out, work backwards from it.
Okay, let's dive into that. Because if y'all know my story, you know I changed my major 8 times. So how... just stop. Tell me, how did y'all figure out what you were passionate about? Because it took me a while. I'm just so curious. I want to try everything.
I think it's supposed to take a while to figure out what you want to do. I mean...
That's encouraging.
God kind of gives us each our gifts and abilities, and it's very unique to each person.
Yeah.
And so you're not going to just find that one day, just, you know... I think that's the mistake a lot of people fall into. You figure out, oh, I'm a good writer, so I need to go into law because, lawyers write. I'm good at writing.
Right.
And it doesn't go any deeper than that.
Yeah.
I think you really need to go figure out how you make a difference in the world and how you can get to know people and make a difference in their lives. And when you can figure out how you can do that and have fun doing it, I really think that you can. That's how you figure out what you need to do someday. I think that's super, super important. I lost my train of thought, but
well, going back to what we were joking about a second ago was changing a major. A major is not your identity. Like I went from undecided to community and leadership development. And knowing that wasn't exactly crafted for what I was going to do, but I was going to outwork anything that major was holding me back from and get straight into the workforce, get like as much experience under my belt. So the major is a cool category to start exploring, but that's not your identity. I feel bad for anybody that feels trapped from it because you can do so much. You got so much time to figure stuff out. Yeah.
I also
Explore.
think the worst thing you can do is feel like you have to stay with a major because you picked it at first. That's how you end up with a job that you don't want to be in.
Yeah.
Like if you're feeling like, hey, this isn't for me, it's probably not for you.
Yeah.
Go find something that really gives you a reason to wake up each morning. Even if that means changing your major.
Right.
It's worth it.
So what did y'all do to kind of get experience and figure out what you were good at? Because, I mean, like, for me, I came in thinking I wanted to do education because that's what I knew. But, like, you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
So what did y'all do? Because I know that y'all put yourselves out there a lot, and I really admire that about y'all.
Well, and part of the putting yourself out there is showing up. Like, half of it, if not more. And there's actually a book called Showing Up by Bill Gates Sr. He says most of life is just showing up. And that's so true. Like, being present, and that's not just physically present, but having your wheels be turning in a meeting, having your wheels be turning in a conversation, and just putting yourself out there to both welcome others to teach you something,
right?
But also be willing to make somebody else's day better. Like, yeah, go hang out in a park and just see what life is like out there. Go to a PTA meeting. Go to a Chamber of Commerce thing. Go to wherever there's people, because I think everybody can learn from somebody.
Yeah, I think you got to say yes. I think if you get in the habit of saying yes, you'll find yourself out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And if you don't say yes to things, if you say no to things because it's not familiar, you're never going to learn anything new. You're just going to be stuck in that same old.
That will preach.
It's going to be a cycle. And, get out of your comfort zone and try to find ways to get out of your comfort zone each and every day, because the more you stick in that comfort zone, the more you put yourself in a box, and the less you evolve. I mean, you stay the same all the time, and it gets boring. Life gets stale when you do that.
Yeah. So. Do y'all hear this energy? Like, don't you love this? Don't you love them? I love them. So, when you're talking to someone, what are you listening for? Like, whether it's someone that, because, like, Fletcher, I know one of your gifts is, like, connecting people. Like, you can hear what someone's good at and then connect them with someone else that you know is strong in that category. So, like, what are you listening for to be able to help someone, but also what are you listening for to know that someone else can help you?
Yeah, I mean, like I was saying earlier, I'm listening for things that make people tick. And so if I find out you're excited about something, I'm going to dig into that a little bit more. I'm going to figure out what have you done? Like, what are you good at? And tell me more about that. And a lot of times I find myself thinking about another conversation I've had with somebody else where they're telling me about a need they have. And I put two and two together pretty quickly when it comes to that kind of stuff. And first thing I think is I got to connect these people.
Yes.
And so, I'm just listening for things that make people tick and that they get excited about.
But see, I love that you said that, because that shows that you were intentionally listening because you cared about people. Like, if you didn't care enough about people, you wouldn't have even heard that to be able to know, like, oh, well, I've got a buddy over here in Western Kentucky that I'd love to connect you with. So that's really special. What about you, Ross?
I think that there's an authenticity that you have to go into
for sure,
any sort of interaction with. And there are some days where it's like, oh my gosh, like I'm not feeling my A game today. But if you can get yourself into that mode where it's like, okay, yeah, there is a purpose that I'm chasing, and every conversation can help somebody. And I don't know, if you can be the best part of somebody's day, like, do it. And that happens mostly through conversations. And whether it's an action or a conversation, best part of somebody's day is one of those. So do it.
Say that one more time.
Whether it's an action or a conversation, that's the best part of somebody's day. When somebody lays down at night and you ask them what the best part of their day was, it's usually one of those.
That's so true. I've never heard it said that way.
But yeah, and I think you also, to be genuinely interested, that is a muscle that we need to exercise a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I say it's a muscle because it atrophies as you don't care. It's harder to care if you don't care. More if you choose to not care, it just keeps on like weakening and weakening.
True.
And so I've said it before. To be interesting, you have to be interested.
Yeah.
And
that's important.
That's building that muscle of the more you're interested, the more you become an interesting person. And that's a selfish thing to say, but it's a cool thing when you also get to help somebody by being that connector, like you're talking about, Fletcher, that you're thinking of somebody else's conversation you had, and it's like, hey, let me amplify what you're doing through this connection, and you be that point that gets to make that connection.
Yeah. What do y'all think are some like practical things that young people who want to be really strong leaders and want to communicate well and build relationships well and strongly, like what are some things that they could do maybe daily or I don't know, weekly, that kind of would make them stand out or just help them grow?
Get out of your league. So when
that's uncomfortable.
Oh, absolutely, it's uncomfortable. It's scary too. And
it is.
And there's a season where we were talking about what we need to do to level up, and we had to start having scary conversations, scary prayers, scary emails, doing things that got us out of our comfort zone.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I've always enjoyed is I have a brother that's 3 years older, and so that we didn't have to play on separate YMCA soccer teams, I got to play up. So I always got to compete against the people that were 3 years older, and I ran with those guys and girls. And so I was always used to having to do something a little bit bigger than what my league should be. And so in high school, I was doing stuff with UK, and UK, I was doing stuff with the Chamber of Commerce. And it was one of those that, like, I loved getting out of what most people are doing. Instead of staying in the UK bubble, I was getting to be in the Lexington community. And I think that's something that anybody should be thinking about, like, how can I start growing out of whatever the stereotypical is or the status quo is now. So move on, move to those bigger meetings, to those bigger conversations, and just put yourself in the environment. You do a great job of putting yourself in those environments.
I think, Ross and I kind of have this thing that we do where we encourage each other to send emails, and we hold each other accountable for it. And so we'll figure out, all right, who's doing this thing you want to do? Like, and how are they doing it? Go find them, figure out how to email them, get in contact with them, and we'll do it. And Ross and I hold each other accountable for that. So if we'll follow up with each other. Hey, did you send that email that you said you were going to send? And that puts you out of your comfort zone. I mean, and a lot of times it's like people that you don't expect a response back from. Those are the kinds of emails you should send. Like, you should try to go and find people that are doing big things.
Yeah.
Figure out how they're doing those big things. And I think that's kind of how you get some vision in your life. Like, that's...
Well, and those emails, it's not one of those, hey, will you mentor me? Like, don't say that. No, nobody ever wants to be, like, put in that position. But I think those emails, the body of it contain curiosity from us of, we are curious of how you got where you are. And I think that genuine interest in trying to figure it out, that's an easy response. Because they've done it and they don't realize how cool it is that we're up here admiring them. Or down here admiring them, not up here.
Yeah, don't make it a self-serving thing. I think that's the mistake a lot of us make is we see networking as this like thing that's supposed to benefit us. If I shake enough hands, if I give my business card to enough people, well then I'm going to get this great job that I'm thinking about. That's not what it's about. Who can you surround yourself with? Like how can you help others and how can others help you? And it's not about networking. It's about relationship building.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, I really dislike those networking events. Nobody's ever come out of that being like, wow, I just like met somebody that I'm going to do business with. Wow. No, it comes from doing stuff out in the community through an interest group or volunteering or being so present that people know what you do, having those conversations just out in the open to say, this is what I like doing. This is what I get energized by. And people think of you when that need comes up. And when they're like, I need somebody to help me with this or that, they're like, oh, Ross likes that, or Fletcher's good at that. So it's really just about being genuine and open. And that's where the telling your ambition comes, is that if you're out in the open, but you're not telling your ambition, that's hurting you. That's hurting somebody else that could benefit from your talents and your skills.
Yes.
So it's quite selfish to not tell people what you're good at. Tell people what you love doing, because you never know when you get to be the person that saves that person's day.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, when you reach out to people, keep it casual. Like that's how relationships are built, by keeping it casual.
What's your saying?
Oh, aggressively casual.
Aggressively casual.
Yeah, I'm aggressively casual. It's that's how I would describe my personality.
I love it because it's so like inviting because of that.
Well, thanks. It's I found people don't want to commit to anything right off the bat. I don't want to commit to anything right off the bat. I just want to like slowly kind of build into a relationship.
Yeah.
So going to coffee or just hanging out and chatting. That's how you're going to learn about other people, and you're going to have more success doing that. Like it just,
for sure.
If you're trying to, I don't know, ask somebody to coffee and then try to figure out the next big thing, like it'll never happen that way. It has to be organic and it has to, you got to build into it.
Yeah. So everything y'all have said, I feel like y'all have kind of coached me into. Like y'all encouraged me to send an email. Fletcher called me one day and was like, hey, I'm thinking about this person that is at the next level where you want to get to. Email them. And I was like, that kind of scares me. He was like, I know. That's why you need to do it. And I did it. And I called, like, Fletcher, this dude responded. Like, we're going to meet at this time. And he was like, great. He was like, call me when it's done. And I did. He was like, all right, now what? And I love that. And I love that you two are that for each other. How did that happen? And why do y'all want each other to be there to be accountable to?
I think one of the neat things about our relationship really got deep when we ran for student body vice president.
Which timeout is so funny because we talk about this. I didn't realize freshman year who I was voting for. It was just all my sorority sisters were like, Boggess and Lyon, and Boggess, vote for them. And I was like, okay, I don't know who any of these people are. So sure, I found them. And so I voted for them and I had no idea. And now here we are sitting down on a podcast episode.
Thanks for your vote.
I appreciate that. We're going hard for those at one time.
Yeah, and that's where we got to work really hard for that. And having a mission-based friendship where we were working towards a goal from like, we knew each other, but then when we really got to be like, we're in this like win or lose kind of thing, that's where it got deep. Because like, man, there were a lot of late nights. There were a lot of shared exciting moments, shared sad moments, and but having that mission-based thing, I think has always been really the core of our relationship. And that switched from being mission-based towards an election win to what's the next stage of getting into law school, getting a job, getting into a program or whatever it is. Having that and knowing what each other were working towards, we just kept on getting to nudge each other. And it wasn't a push; it was gentle nudges a lot.
Yeah.
There were a couple pushes, weren't
Ross
there?
has an ability to say the things to me that I won't I won't tell myself. I know I need to tell myself. Like I know it. I don't want to think it.
Yeah.
And it's the stuff I push away.
Mm-hmm.
Ross will ask me, and it'll frustrate me so much in the moment. But after he says it, and we have a talk about it, like that's what pushes me.
Yeah.
And that's what makes me do the uncomfortable things a lot of times. But Ross and I, we go back to high school. We knew each other back then, and then we knew each other a little bit coming into college and everything. But yeah, when we decided to run for student body president and vice president together, that really solidified our friendship. He's right. Like a lot of it was just having that common goal and going through it together. But I feel like we were such good partners through that the partnership continued. Like we were like, man, we push each other to do more than we would.
And that's also such a cool thing. Like it's not a regular moment when friends get to run together. Even out in the real world, you see president, vice president, you see governor, lieutenant governor. It's not always the case that they are like best buds and could be working each other's basements or garages, making posters and doing that. Like we got to a point where we had a theme song. It was good.
What was it?
Paris by Chainsmokers. We were rolling up to McDonald's for those free fry Fridays, jamming to that. Oh, that was great.
Oh yeah. Anytime we end up in a rough, anytime we just have a crappy day or something like that, we'll still put that song on. We'll be like, man, this song's awesome. Something about that song just be I don't know what it is, the energy, the emotions from that time coming out now. It's like, man, this is good stuff. It takes me to a different time. That's great.
I love it. So what do y'all do in your own lives that make you stand out? Like what's an action? I'm going at your letters. That's what I'm aiming at.
That's just genuine appreciation right there.
Okay, so one day, Ross Boggess is out at our house we had a birthday party for one of our friends. A couple days later, my mother walks out with a letter in her hand and was like, well, look at this. And Ross had written my parents a letter thanking them for the hospitality a few days earlier. With one of the, king seals, too.
A wax seal, yeah. Isn't that cool? You pay an extra stamp just to be able to put that. I love my thing. I try to send.
Well, it was so thoughtful, and people today might send a text. They might even send an audio message if they're feeling really lovey-dovey. But a letter, that's. When did where did that come from? What makes you want to do that? And do you do it often? I
grew up getting to run to the mailbox and see if I had anything in the mail. Didn't every kid do that? We used to get a National Geographic every once in a while. That was the coolest day. Or when you first open a bank account and you get something from National City or PNC, whatever it was at the time, and you're like, I got mail. I think when people get something that was genuinely thought about, it's a nice moment. And part of the thing where I love making places through physical infrastructure and developing that people want to be social, do life, all that. But at the core of it, it's building moments that when you think about and you go back in your catalog of all the memories and all that, you can visualize a moment that you were at Disney World. You can visualize a moment.
That's what I'm thinking, Disney right now.
That you were playing in your front yard of your childhood house. You were sitting in that creaky chair at the kitchen table, whatever. And finding a way to make a moment where somebody truly feels appreciated. Because I felt truly appreciated and loved getting to see the hospitality that your parents were showing everybody, and just be able to throw that back in as genuine a way as possible is what I love getting to do.
Yeah, and I think you're hitting it right on the head. Make it authentic, make it genuine. I think a lot of times people, when they do stuff like that, will make it about them and they'll make a big deal about it. Ross has just a really good way of not making a big deal about this kind of stuff. Like it's just, hey, when Ross does something like this for you, you can tell it's he's thinking about you when he's doing it. He's not trying to be showy. He's not like, it is completely authentic.
Yeah.
And so when you do something nice for somebody, make sure they know it's about them and not about them remembering you did something nice for them. I think that's one of the biggest. I think it's one of the most toxic things that people do. And it kind of goes back to that networking thing. Like, it's not about what they can do for you. It's about what you can do for each other. So,
well, I really dislike the word networking, because if you do life right, you have relationships that people can lean on you and you can lean on them, and that's something that is how our community is built, mostly on the local level, but everything, whatever it is in your neighborhood, whether it's borrowing something from a neighbor, whether it's in your city, of being able to have 2 phone calls away from a solution for a problem you're trying to figure out, or even on the national level, being able to call somebody in a different town and say, where's the best barbecue place? That's the genuine part of a relationship. That's not networking. Networking's fake. Relationships, that's what I think everybody should be genuinely trying to figure out, is what value can you provide to somebody? And if everybody's doing that, where instead of asking, what can I take from everybody? If everybody's pushing out, how can I provide something to them? Yeah. That's how you make a peaceful community. One that just, like, it feels whole.
Yeah.
I think everybody sees why people do things, no matter what it is. Like, people can, like, see your art and everything you do. And so doing things with the right attitude. Yeah. You got to be and then do, just like Pastor Ray said.
That's right. Be do, be do, be do.
Shout out, Brother Ray.
Oh, y'all, this has been so good. I'm so glad that y'all got to be here today. So, since this is the Playmaker podcast, I always end with this question. I need you to tell me, how are you being a playmaker in your current season of life?
So for me, I feel like you can give 0 to 100%. I know people like to talk about give 110%, but realistically, it's got to fall between 0 and 100. But if you're going to give 100% towards something, don't make it some cheap goal. Go for something elite. Like, be the best wherever the best is found, and just do it. And that's what I'm trying to level up to be right now, is instead of just going for that mediocre dream and just kind of going along with it, and giving your all towards a mediocre dream, give your all towards an elite dream, and follow all those things we were talking about earlier, of like, tell everybody your ambition, and that's, for me, that's getting to dream big. So that's what I'm trying to do right now, is level up, and that's not just professionally, that's also just personally. That's in everything. Level up, go higher.
Yeah, I love that. That's so good.
Absolutely.
What about you, Fletcher?
So I'm kind of at the end of one season and fixing to start a new season. Moving to Nashville, like I've said, going to work in the music business. So I guess I'm chasing my dream.
Yeah, you are.
Chasing what I want to do. I think the reason I'm doing that is because I figured out what makes me tick. Like, I figured out where I can make a difference. And so I'm chasing it. And so I think that's the thing, is figure out what it is that makes you tick, and chase that thing. Yeah. No matter what you love to do, there's a way to make money doing it. You just have to figure that part out. Yeah. I'm a firm believer in learning in your 20s so you can earn in your 30s. So take a risk. Go on trips, go on vacations, and go explore the world and figure out what it is you want to do. Yeah. And go do it.
Yeah. And, not every season has to be glamorous. Like, when you're chasing dreams, like, that can be lonely. And it can be exhausting. Yeah. But that's how you get there. Yeah. Like, Steph Curry didn't become the greatest shooter by hanging out with people all the time. Like, it took hours of loneliness in the gym. That's the same with any trade skill. Oh, yeah. So. Yeah. Any last thoughts today, guys?
I don't think so.
Thanks for having us on here. if you guys don't mind, if you could like and subscribe to the channel, that would be great. I think Maggie found something she loves to do and maybe might like to make some money doing it. And you guys can help do that by liking and subscribing to her channel. That would be huge.
Well, share it with somebody that you think would benefit from this. And also, who's your producer? Credits to your producer.
Callie Ann Hudson, my girl, Cow Pal Productions.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Cow Pal likes to get paid, and y'all can help with that. So thanks for being my little plug. I appreciate that. All right, y'all. So, man, there's so much good stuff in this episode today. So remember, the goal is not to be perfect, but it is to be better. So take some of these things that Ross and Fletcher talked about and figure out how can you apply those in your life. Pray that through, and then do it. Do it scared. Do something today to help get yourself 1% better. We'll see you next time. How's my hair? Flat. Okay. Ross Jazzy.
Ross Jazzy? Ross Jazzy is bad right now. Ross Jazzy is great between the hours of 9 a.m. and 5 p.m.
I think
Working 9 to 5.
we can have a blooper tape from this one.